What's going on, you filthy animals? Today we're back to do some more work on the Conquest. A little bit different environment. So she's now a spoiled inside car. We were able to make some room, get it inside, not have it sit out underneath the trees and everything. Today we're going to start with some of the basics. We have the ECU and wiring harness on order. We're just waiting on it. So what we're going to start with today is a little bit of preparation with the fuel system. These injectors have been in here for an unknown amount of time. So we're going to go through, we're going to pull each of these out. These are Holley 160 pound an hour injectors. And we're going to remove these, and I'm going to use this kit that I had from when I built the Bird. You can buy this kit off eBay for, I don't even remember, 15, 30 bucks, somewhere in that range. But as you can see, it's just some plastics with different sized openings, and the injector will slide into here, and then you take your favorite brake clean and you put the other end down here onto it. You hook it up to a battery, plug the injector in with one of the connectors provided, or if those don't work, you can use just wire, multimeter, whatever works, and you press it down and it will spray through the injector and it will clean it, and it'll give you an idea of what the spray pattern looks like. Obviously, if they are drastically different, you're going to send them out to get them cleaned. That's kind of what I'm here to test today, see what they look like and to compare it. And if they look drastically different, I will be sending them out to have them cleaned professionally. The other thing we're going to do is, underneath the car it does have a fuel cell, and whatever gasket it has on there is leaking. I'm going to get some pictures, reach out to a couple friends, get some advice, and possibly tear into that to fix it tonight. We'll have to wait and see. That's going to depend on local part availability for what I need. If they have the materials needed to go through and reseal the bulkhead, you guys might be able to see on the bottom there how we got a leak. If they have the material I need to go through and reseal that, I'll do it. If not, we're just gonna have to wait till next time and we'll see what happens from there. So we're back. I have brought the car out of the corner. Only thing I had to do so was, the back tire doesn't really hold air. It had 2 whole pounds of air in it, so we went ahead and aired that up a bit, rolled her forward, and I went ahead and started on the injectors. So with this style intake, it does have manifold port injection, and the rail is right here painted in red. If I move my hand, you guys can see a little better, but it's bolted down right here, and then there's another one in the back right down in here. So when you have a fuel rail bolted down to hold your injectors in, you just remove the bolts, and then you can kind of wiggle it back and forth and pull on it, and the rail and the injectors typically will come out, because you see this little groove here on the top of the injector is for a retaining clip to go over the hat here and hold it to the rail. Depending on the bolt style, some will have this, some will not. On my Firebird, it does have a retaining clip. This car, it did not have one. And when you go to remove the injectors, you just go ahead and wiggle them and pull them through, and they will come out. This is the first cylinder injector. I cannot tell if this is built up right here or if it's just burnt plastic. It looks to be burnt plastic, which is not great, not promising. This is the second cylinder. These are, like I said earlier, 160 pound an hour injectors. Looks like an EV, I don't know what number that is, but it's the same style connector that I have on the Firebird. Cylinder 3, the injector itself on visual inspection looks all right. The O-rings don't look smashed. It looks like they were lubricated. And then this is the last one, cylinder number 4. Again, everything looks fine. So the next step will be go ahead and put these on the adapter, get them set up. I need to grab a battery because this car does not currently have one, so I need to grab a battery to test these with. I might take it out to the Bird and hook it up to that one just for testing purposes, and we'll go from there. So long as they click and they spray and have a similar pattern, which I'll record to show you guys, all is well. They go back in the car. They've been cleaned at this point. The fuel system up here appears to be empty, so I'm not particularly stressed about washing it or rinsing it to make sure there's no old fuel. Everything seems to be clean and dry. And the next step will be getting the rear of the car off the ground and taking a look at that bulkhead. All right, I'm here to try and show you guys a little bit what the spray pattern looks like, just so you can get an idea of kind of what to look for. If you are in a closed space, make sure you're not doing this on painted floors or anything that's going to cause an issue. These are unfinished concrete floors, so what we're going to do is we're going to hold the injector tight, and then you can see the spray pattern there. 3 nice beams, that's what we're looking for. We want that to be even across all of the injectors. Every single one here has that same pattern, the same flow rate. It goes the same amount of distance. That's what you want. If you have one that doesn't have the same flow rate or the same pattern, you need to send them to get cleaned. So if one of these didn't have the 3 beams, or if it was just kind of puking the fuel out rather than spraying it and properly spitting it out and aerating it, you need to get them cleaned. And the cleaner should be able to tell you if the injector is savable or if there's some sort of major damage inside. A lot of times they can be cleaned, and when you do that, depending on the cleaning company, they will also send you some flow tables. When you use things like Flow Injector Clinic, when they go through and clean all these, they'll send you a flow chart, and you'll get an exact number of this injector did this much, this one this much, this one this much, this one this much. So these are 160 pound an hour, so this one might be 138, 144, 150, 138. They can vary. As long as they're within X percentage of each other, that's what really matters, and you need to keep an eye on those numbers. So next step's going to be putting them back in the car. We're gonna get on that, and then I've got some pictures of the bulkhead on the fuel cell that I can go ahead and put up on screen so you can see kind of what I'm talking about. But basically, there is an access panel on there with what looks like a fill cap almost for the fuel cell to be rotated 90 degrees. And the bulkhead that it's attached to has a bunch of bolts that secure it to the fuel cell, and it looks to be leaking from the bottom of the gasket there. Not the end of the world, something that can be fixed. Just have to find the right material, because we don't want to run into an issue with a leak again in the future, especially considering it's fuel in the rear of the vehicle. There is exhaust back there. If anything like the car has 2-step, shoots fireballs, anything fun like that, it can prove to be dangerous. So we're gonna get on installing these, doing some research, and we'll be back to you. All right, so with that, we're going to be wrapping up this video. We've tightened down the fuel cell. We checked the injector spray patterns, went ahead and put them back in. I didn't cover that with you guys on the fuel cell side of things though. Apparently with time, gaskets can shrink a little bit when exposed to gasoline. So the bulkhead is just a rubber gasket, that's all it is. And I got a hold of a couple friends I know who have done performance industry things, worked with fuel cells before. They recommended checking that the bolts were tight. On the pictures, you'll see the bolts that are the culprit for leaking. Those ones, honestly, were not tight at all. I got almost another full turn out of each of those, and as I went around on the bottom half, I got almost a full turn on, and on the top half, I got half to 3/4 of a turn on all those bolts, tightening it down. That was a lot of progress. I haven't put fuel in it as of yet. The fuel system isn't fully closed. There's a port on the fuel rail up here for a pressure sensor, and as of right now, it's open. I'm going to go through, I will cap that off or put a fuel pressure gauge in there so I can get an idea of what kind of pressures we're running and be able to make adjustments to the regulator. And otherwise, I'm working on slowly and painfully scraping off this window tint, and that'll probably be about all I do for the car today. It doesn't need a whole lot more. We're just waiting on the ECU to arrive. I haven't gotten any word back other than they were going to start on it sometime last week or early this week, and at this point it's just a little bit of a waiting game. Once it gets in, we'll be doing an install video. I will go over, add fuel, crank it over, make sure we got good oil pressure, that kind of thing. Just make sure everything looks right. I'll probably bring you guys along for a lot of that, and then hopefully we'll get a first start up. The ECU should come programmed with the proper injector data and everything, so as long as I hook up all the sensors and the wiring, should be good for our first start. Otherwise, stay safe, show them your taillights.